Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into how a forgotten classic superhero was resurrected back in the 80s, but not for some fun adventure. No, he was brought back to star in a philosophical horror story so deeply terrifying it would pretty much change comics forever.
So how did he pull it off? We have to get this one key idea. In 1982, Alan Moore didn't just bring back a superhero. He put the entire genre on an operating table. I mean, he systematically dissected every single thing we thought we knew and exposed the absolute nightmare hiding just underneath it all.
And look, this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. This is the central, horrifying question right at the heart of the Miracleman story. It's a question that drives every single page and pushes both the character and, us as readers into some seriously dark places.
All right, so let's start the autopsy. This whole deconstruction, this whole breakdown, it's really built on one single explosive idea from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, an idea that completely turns the whole concept of a Superman on its head.
The core idea, and this is straight from Nietzsche, is that humanity, we're not the destination, we're not the end goal. We're just a bridge, like a tightrope stretched over an abyss, and we lead to something far, far greater. Nietzsche called this being the Übermensch, and well, Miracleman is the story of what happens when someone actually makes it across that rope.
But here's the thing. To build this new, terrifying kind of God, Moore first had to completely demolish the old, simple hero. He had to burn the original foundation to the ground before he could ever hope to build something new on top of it.
And the level of deception here is just staggering. That whole charming, simple fantasy of a mystical wizard? A complete and total lie. The truth wasn't magic at all, it was cold, clinical science. Those heroic adventures he remembered? Just fabricated memories implanted in his head. And that magic word, Kimota? Nope. Nothing more than a post-hypnotic trigger designed to unleash a weapon.
So what Moore is doing is basically performing a death of God, right there on the page. He takes this tool that comics always use to fix plot holes, the recon, and he weaponizes it. So instead of cleaning up the story, he uses it to expose this deep, traumatic truth, and he demolishes the old myth, piece by painful piece.
So, okay, if there was no wizard, then who was behind all of this? The answer, well, it reveals the philosophical blueprint for the entire story. And let me tell you, it's way more chilling than any magical supervillain could ever be. And boom, with this one name, Moore basically just hands us the Rosetta Stone for the whole story. Project Zarathustra. I mean, that's not a subtle hint, right? It's a direct, you-can't-miss-it link to Nietzsche's most famous book, which is all about the coming of the Übermensch.
See, these government scientists, they weren't just trying to build a super soldier. No, they were trying to engineer a god, a being so advanced, so post-human, that our ideas of right and wrong would be totally meaningless to him. Their whole goal was to create this Übermensch. Their spectacular, catastrophic failure was in ever thinking they could actually control it.
And Miracleman's entire journey, it follows this Nietzschean playbook for becoming a god perfectly. First, he has to reject his creator. Then, he has to completely cast off his human shell. And finally, he's got to take on the ultimate burden of godhood, creating a brand new world with totally new rules.
But this whole god engineering project, it didn't just have one outcome. The ideal, it fractured, and it created two terrifyingly different results. Because, as it turns out, creating a god is not a clean process, and the fallout is, well, it's catastrophic. This line, it's pulled right from the comic, but it's also straight out of Nietzsche's book. Moore is using it to foreshadow the two possible sides of the Übermensch. You've got the power to create, which is the lightning, and then you have the terrifying power to destroy, which is the madness.
So on one side you get Miracleman. He's the constructive lightning, genuinely trying to build a better world. But on the other side, his old sidekick, Kid Miracleman, becomes pure, unhinged madness. He is a totally nihilistic force whose only way of expressing his power is through cruelty. He's the absolute worst-case scenario, a literal god with the mind of a bitter, angry child.
Their final battle it's apocalyptic. It just levels the entire city of London in gruesome, graphic detail. And in the middle of all that horror, Miracleman has this terrible realization. To truly build his perfect world, he has to complete the final stage. He has to kill what's left of his own humanity.
So he does it. He declares his human alter ego totally dead and, from the ashes of the old world, he builds a new one, a perfect utopia. But this paradise comes at an absolutely astronomical cost. And on the surface, it's a perfect world. I mean, Miracleman and his superpowered friends, they end war, poverty, disease, all of it. They completely restructure the global economy, they move mountains, and they build a literal Olympus on the ruins of London. Just think about it. Every problem humanity has ever struggled with is solved, pretty much overnight.
And right here, this is where we get More's final, brutal critique. The superhero dream, it actually came true, but at what cost? We, humanity, had no say in this. It's a perfect world that was forced upon us by an all-powerful, distant God. He's become a benevolent dictator, and his utopia, it's nothing more than a beautiful, gilded cage.
Nietzsche always believed that our meaning in life comes from struggle, from the whole process of overcoming challenges. And that leaves us with this final, really haunting question. If a God just swoops in and hands us perfection on a silver platter, taking away all of our struggles, what's left for us to do? What part of our own humanity is actually lost when that fight for a better world is finally truly over?